Hello and welcome to my channel. I create content on business and financial literacy, and today's podcast is the final part of three-part series on financial behavior. If you missed listening to part 1 and part 2 of the series, the links are in the description. In part 1, I discussed money management, consistency in financial behavior, and exercising one's financial muscle every day. In part 2, I spoke about financial decision making. In this podcast, I'll discuss navigating financial issues. Simply put, financial issues arise when we spend more than we earn, and if we make wrong financial decisions. Why do people make terrible mistakes with finances? There are three common reasons: lack of financial knowledge, of course, external pressures, very common, and emotional triggers, which are overlooked most often. Knowing our vulnerabilities in these areas is the first step to avoiding financial mistakes. Let's assume you know your vulnerabilities and you supervise your impulse buying, but you still end up running short on cash every month. Where could the problem be? I'll tell you three things you aren't doing in that case. The first thing you aren't doing is budgeting and sticking to it. Writing down your monthly income and expenses on a sticky and putting it up on your refrigerator is not enough. You really need to comply with your planned budget, and that requires discipline and self control. The second thing you aren't doing is debt management. Have you added your total debt so far? Do you keep track of how much you have paid off and how much you owe month after month? Have you counted the number of times you missed your monthly payments on the latest gadget you bought on EMI? Most people are poor at doing these really important calculations. Debt is a ticking time bomb. It grows fatter and larger with time, and one day it will explode on your face. The third thing you aren't doing is keeping an emergency fund. How many of you have 1 year's reserves? By that, I mean 1 year's living expenses set aside to see through an emergency. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, time to revisit your budget. If you don't save enough to reach this goal of reserves, you may end up in the soup. Apart from these, you obviously need to invest wisely to grow your wealth and have a feedback loop through which you learn from your financial mistakes. Financial issues are a consequence of bad financial management, and managing finances wisely is totally in your hands. All it takes is awareness of your habits and weaknesses. Let your kids imbibe this awareness too. You behave well financially, and your kids will grow into it. I hope you liked my podcast series on financial behavior. If you like my content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in my next podcast. Until then, goodbye and take care.